Welcome back, and now we are going to get some practice with those half angles and double angles. Like I said, the power reducing formulas, they're a thing. We're not going to emphasize those too much though. Okay, so sine of theta is 4/5 and theta is in quadrant 2. Okay, so now before I go further, my brain just reads that and I automatically have to draw a picture. Okay, so I know theta is in quadrant 2, so there would be theta. And then for theta, right, I could make a little triangle. This would be theta prime. And again, the trig functions of the reference angle and the angle are the same up to a sine difference. So I just need to make sure that when I set things up using a reference angle, I would include the proper sign. So 4 and 5 are the opposite and hypotenuse side, and then the adjacent side would be 3, but negative due to the quadrant. Okay, that's helpful, but still I haven't figured out what I need to do. Okay, I need to find sine 2 theta. Okay, I need to find that. I need to find cosine of 2 theta. Okay, and then tangent of 2 theta. Okay, fine. And now this is where we pull out the formulas that we have for each of these. So sine 2 theta was 2 times sine theta cosine theta. Okay. Now I guess to find sine theta, I know that sine theta was 4/5. That was given to me, but the cosine theta is actually found using the diagram. So yay, diagram. Cosine would be -3/5. So then I get, 25 in the denominator, -24 in the numerator. Okay, so there we go. Okay, nice application of double angle for sine. Now on to cosine. Again, there's 3 versions you could choose from. I'm going to do the cosine squared of theta minus sine squared of theta. Okay, cosine was -3/5. I'm going to square that. And then sine, right? Sine here is 4/5, and I have to square that. So I end up with, 9/25 minus 16/25. So I get -7/25. Okay. And then for tangent, okay, now I'm going to do it via the formula, and then I'm going to show you maybe a cheating way to do it. So via the formula, 2 tangent of theta over 1 minus tangent squared of theta. Okay. So 2 times tangent would be 4/3, and then 1 minus 4/3 all squared. So I get -8/3 all over 1 minus, and then this is going to be 16/9. Okay, simplifying -8/3 over, let's see, that would be 9/9 minus 16/9, so that's going to be -7/9. So then multiply by the reciprocal, 9/7 negative times 9/7 negative. Those wipe out. I end up with, let's see, the 3's would reduce. Okay, so I end up with 24/7. Okay, now, so I got my answers. I'm all done. Just bear in mind that tangent is still sine over cosine, and so you would just need to keep the angle the same, sine 2 theta over cosine 2 theta. So if you're asked for tangent 2 theta, right, rather than going through the calculations we did, we could just take those two things and divide them by one another, sine over cosine, and sure enough, you get 24/7. In my opinion, a whole hell of a lot faster. But certainly the formula still works. All right, next one, find the value of sine of 165. Oh, we did that in another video. Isn't that just 120? So 165 is, 120 plus 45. And then I could use the angle addition. Yep, to check my answer, right? So this is where the extra instruction is included. So using the half angle formula. Okay, well, we must. Okay, so via the half angle formula, we might need to look this up, but remember this is going to be sine of theta is equal to plus and minus square root of 1 minus cosine of 2 theta over 2. Okay, so now the hardest part is figuring out what is, like, where's the 165 go? Is that theta or is that 2 theta? Well, we're wanting to find sine of 165, so I'm saying here theta is actually the 165 degrees. Okay, so sine of 165. Okay, I want to come back to the plus and minus in a minute. Let me erase that, get an equals in there. Okay, square root of 1 minus cosine of 2 times 165 degrees all over 2. Okay, now before I move on, I believe I have enough information to determine whether it's plus or minus, right? 165 is an angle in quadrant 2. So I'm saying this is 165 degrees. In quadrant 2, sine is positive, so I'm going to use the positive here. Okay, so I get positive square root, 1 minus, and then I think I can evaluate, so this would be cosine of 330 degrees. If I do that, let's see, what do I get? So let's see, I just need to draw a quick little sketch. Refer to a unit circle as needed. So this would be a 30-degree angle. That means that this point from the unit circle would be square root of 3 over 2, comma, negative 1/2. So the cosine there is the square root of 3 over 2, all over 2. Now for me, that's perfectly fine. Connect Math, of course, is going to want you to simplify. So we get square root of 2 minus square root of 3 all over 2, okay? So this mathematically ends up being square root of 2 minus square root of 3 all over, actually I should simplify this. I'll do one more step. So when I do the 2 divided by 2, I get a 4. So this is square root of 2 minus square root of 3 all over 4. Or all over 2, I'm sorry, because you would square root that. So all over 2 like that. So this would be what you'd have to use for Connect Math. All right, so just for your awareness. Okay, so key steps here. First, figure out, I mean, if you have to use a half angle formula, you have to use it, but what are the numbers that you use? So what is this 165? Is that theta or 2 theta? Okay. Once you do that, then go through the formula, distinguish whether you have a plus or a minus, and then carry through with the arithmetic. Last example. Okay, so I want you to take a shot, or pause the video, take a shot at it, and resume the video when you're ready to see the solution. And here's my solution. So what I did is I saw this little bit and I had to make a picture. Okay, and then so I made the picture, right? Quadrant 4, labeled the diagram, fine. And then it said find the exact values of those, so I set up the formulas. Okay, then I started to use the information. So I started to information from the diagram. So I found cosine of theta, 12 over 13, substitute that into each of those. And then I could carry the work through. I want to talk about tangent here in a minute, but to decide the plus and the minus, right? The plus and the minus would come from the sine of theta over 2. So how I figured out where this theta over 2 would be is I said, okay, well, if I know this information about theta, that's down here, right? I know that. Well, just take it and divide each part of the inequality by 2, and I did that. And so I got that theta over 2 would be between 3 power 4 and pi, which is in quadrant 2. Okay, in quadrant 2, sine is positive, cosine is negative. Okay, and tangent's negative as well. Okay, so that's how I chose the signs. Other than that, I just carried the work through. Tangent, rather than using that complicated formula, I just did sine of the angle over cosine of the angle, which was a lot easier for me to go through, and then simplified it, and I got negative 1/5. Okay, so there we go. We have another example under our belt of the half angle formulas.